business is very simple. The truth is, it's very simple. All a business exists is to solve a problem.
Welcome to the Tribe of Leaders podcast. I'm serial entrepreneur and investor Emmy Kirschner, and I'm known for sprinkling just a little bit of glitter throughout the streets of Philadelphia and on the stages that I speak, while I help creative entrepreneurs stop struggling as the overworked admin in their business and become the CEO of their multi-6 and 7-figure businesses. What has fascinated me over the years are the stories of success and failure that courageous entrepreneurs who have put it all on the line face as they change lives, disrupt industries, and become incredible leaders themselves. So if you're looking for a community of engaged entrepreneurs and you'd love to get some resources and tools that can help you fast track your business, I invite you to join the Tribe of Leaders Facebook group. The link is in the show notes if you want to connect with us. And of course, the group is free to join. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tribe of Leaders podcast. Super excited. Today, I have Mia Hewitt. She helps purpose-driven entrepreneurs stop secretly struggling. So important. If you're struggling, definitely, one, make it known, but two, seek help. And Mia is definitely an expert. She helps them live in alignment with their dreams so that they can scale to 6 and 7 figures the fast way. Now, who doesn't want that? Because I know in my business and my clients, we're not about doing it the slow way. So Mia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emmy, for letting me be here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. This is going to be fantastic. And just introduce a little bit about yourself and who you are, where you're at, and your business.
Sure, absolutely. So the best thing I think that anybody would want to know about me is I grew up poor and then made a decision that I knew I never wanted to be poor again. I think some of the most traumatic things that happened in my life happened while I was poor. My dog died because our house was so infested with fleas that they literally sucked the blood out of him. And I remember making a decision at 13. I don't know, how I'm going to be wealthy, but I'm going to be wealthy, right? So then I went on and I built my first multi-million-dollar business. I created that. It was a brick and mortar business. And I did that. And I realized I did it for 24 years. And I realized that, I thought once I became wealthy, that I would just arrive. I don't know where I got this from.
Right.
But I just really thought there'd be this, all of a sudden, I'm no longer overthinking. I'm no longer struggling. I'm no longer doubting myself. None of that, which happened. If anything, really, which was so shocking to me was how can I be this wealthy, insecure person?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wasn't really prepared for. And I'm
right.
Why doesn't anyone talk about that?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people make a lot of money, whether they come from a poor background or not, but they're making a lot more money than what they grew up with, they think life is going to be perfect.
Yeah. I did. I used to think that. Yeah.
That's not the case.
Nope. That was not the case at all. And so I really struggled. And I was like, what is going on? And so I seeked out the best and the best. I spent $500,000 on my own coaching. I've worked with the best and the best in the industry for sure. And one of the things that happened to me was at the end of the day, no matter who it was, or even I did therapy as well. I tried 4 or 5 different therapists over my lifetime because I'm 52. And I either way, at the end of the day, either it felt like they would just say, well, just think differently. And it was if I could just do that, I would have already done that by now. I just felt, right? I mean, I'm not trying to, this is no judgment for anybody because I think they're amazing. I just couldn't get what they were saying because I knew what I was struggling with did not make any logical sense. I really got that This doesn't make any sense. I'm successful. Why should I doubt what I'm doing? Like, why should I still question this? It didn't make any rational sense to me. So I understood that it didn't make sense, but I still couldn't stop myself from feeling the way that I felt. And so,
Yeah.
long story short, it took a best-selling author that I had, very famous, that I spent 50 grand with. And it took him saying, like, he was so frustrated with me. And I'm very coachable. I did exactly what he said. It took him, though, saying to me, because I said, what do you think I'm missing? What do you think it is that I'm missing? And he said, Mia, you just need to go in your room and shut the door and not come out until you figure this out. And I remember thinking, you know what? I cannot be the only person who struggles with this. Like, I cannot be the anomaly. I'm not that special. Like, I just don't think that I'm the only person that struggles. So it kind of was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I really became obsessed. I'm not an overnight success in this. It took me 6 years to unravel all of this, but I nailed it, right? So now, because now I've been doing it for years and I've worked with hundreds of people, but I totally understand all of it. And here's what I would like to give anyone who has felt the way I felt. It's not in your mind. Like, the mind is actually, what the mind does is it will actually back it up. It'll run that, inner critic. But what happened, and where the healing really has to happen, is actually emotional. So when we heal the emotional part of ourselves, we actually free the mind.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to back up to what you said earlier too, about the piece about, like, you can't just think differently. Like, you have to have that emotional component, because the emotions are driving the thoughts.
Right. And they drive our behaviors. Like, all behaviors are emotional. It wasn't logical. If it was logical, if behaviors were really logical, everybody would be thin. Everybody would be successful. Everybody'd have a 6 and 7 figure, but whatever the business you want, because business is really simple. It's very logical. Like how to lose or like be thin is very logical. That's not what stops all of us. It's all emotional.
Right?
Right? Come on. That's why we go eat the candy. That's why we eat the sugar, right? When we feel like we're not being satisfied emotionally, or we have a feeling of a void emotionally, we will go reach for something that will kind of give us that. Well, it's the same in business. Business is very simple. The truth is, it's very simple. All a business exists is to solve a problem. Right? The thing that we have to ensure is that the problem we're solving, that our ideal client they really need it and really value it enough to give us their money, right? But the simplistic of it is very simple. It's not really difficult, but why do so many people struggle? Because of the emotional component, which is really what I wish somebody would have really helped me understand and helped me solve a long time ago. But that's really what I'm an expert in. Yeah.
No, and I agree, because I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who are so wrapped up in their emotions, it keeps them from selling.
Yeah.
And how they think that their prospective client is perceiving it, instead of looking at it as the value, and that they're solving this problem that this person is like walking around with.
Yeah.
And particularly for service-based businesses, which is where I tend to focus too, like they're offering something that's going to be life-changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always going to come down to how you see yourself, because how we see ourselves is what's driving those emotional behaviors. And what I uncovered is there's an actual, I'd actually take people back to the exact day they created it. And what I found is that when I could see exactly how I created these unresolved emotional feelings, when I could find the exact experience, and we only need the first one because it's really a domino, then everything after that one, the way it really works is that once you hit that first one, how it's created, what happens is every experience after that first one will just become another version of the same pattern, just a deeper, bigger, wider incident. So that's why nobody's really experiencing new experiences. Does that make sense?
Totally, because I have
Mhm.
often said that it feels like we just are on repeat until we
Yep.
heal the thing that we need to heal, and we can do it differently.
1000%. Once we close the loop, which was once we heal that original trauma, the pattern ceases to exist.
Mhm.
It literally stops it in its tracks, and then we can create newly the pattern that we really want, and then be able to consistently, have that be the pattern that runs all the time. So I don't have an inner critic anymore. I don't have a voice that runs anymore, which is
Right.
amazing to me, because I didn't even know that that was possible back then.
Right.
I would have thought you're crazy if somebody had told me, "Oh, I don't have a voice." I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Like my voice, my head was filled with the voice before, and it's not now.
Yeah. So, what was some of that process that you've used to essentially just get rid of the inner critic, and how are you using that to help your clients?
Well, we actually can easily find it. So everybody has experience. Let me give you an exact example, because there's a guy in my mind right now. He that just came to me. And it's really fabulous. So he read my book, right? So that's why I wrote the books, to help people really understand what's really happening to them. So he had read my book, and he reached out to me in an email, and he said, "Mia, I'm 59 years old. Surely, shouldn't I be feeling like these issues from childhood should be resolved by now? Isn't there like a time limit on, when we stop looking to blame somebody for our decisions?" He's like, "But I seem to keep hitting the same roadblocks over and over and over again, and I can't seem to find my way. And every which way, it seems to be strewn with obstacles of people saying one thing and doing another, backing out, leaving me high and dry," right? And so he says, "I've known success, but when you keep hitting a brick wall over and over again, and yet you see your peers flying high still,
Hmm.
right?" He's like, "It has me take a step back and go, where have I gone wrong?"
Right.
And then he said, which is, I feel like a lot of people think this. He said, "I feel like there's somebody or something that's deciding that my time in the sun has come to an end. And from now on, I must forever walk in the shade." And so
Wow.
I can tell you how many people think like, "Oh, it must not be meant to be," right? Like, "Oh, because I keep there just must not be the way," you know what I mean? And I understand why, because you can't figure out like, what is it I'm missing? And
Right.
he said, "I've read hundreds of self-help books about positive thinking, being a gatekeeper." But he said, "This is the first time in reading your book that what you wrote resonated with me somewhere deep inside me, where something's been hidden, and I can't quite put my finger on it,
Mhm.
but it feels like there's something really there that I need to recall, but it's hazy." And so what I do is, like, I'll have them, because I can help somebody find this in less than 20 minutes, right? So all we have to do is ask these a couple questions, and this is what your listeners can ask themselves for. Because most of the time people will think it's in a different place. Like, they'll want to go to something bigger, like maybe when they were 17 or 20, or an experience as, like, later on in life. But actually, where you can really see the pattern
Mhm.
is it's going to happen before the age of 8.
Right.
So it's going to be under the age of 8. And how you're going to find it is, it's actually not in the mind. You don't look for it in the mind, because a lot of times people will say, "But I don't really remember my childhood." Yeah, I didn't either.
Mhm.
I blocked it out on purpose. We do that on purpose to protect ourselves, to not have to recall it and relive it, because it was emotionally traumatic. But the way that it works is, you're not going to find it in the mind. You're going to find it in the feeling place. It's actually in your body. So how you find it is, you just ask yourself, but let me, before I tell you how to find it, you want to make sure that when whatever the image comes up when you find it, because you will remember a time emotionally, and it will pop an image into your conscious mind. Here's my request: do not judge the image. Do not judge it. All of my entrepreneurs want to go, "Oh, that's ridiculous, because they want to judge it from the todays of their life and everything else they've been through, right? And I say, don't do that, because it may feel like not a big deal to you now, but then at 4, at 3, at 5, it was a big freaking deal. So do not judge it, because it's going to give you a huge awareness into the web of the pattern that you've been stuck in, that has been hidden. So how you do it is what you do is you want to close your eyes, is what I find works the easiest, because if we leave our eyes open, it will automatically want to go into the mind. But if we close our eyes, we can actually get present to our feelings. And so if we close our eyes and just feel for what I'm going to have you feel, it's like, remember a time when you were really, really young, and you felt invincible, like there was a harmony to you. And for some of you, it's going to be really young, even maybe can be even as a toddler or an infant, but just trust whatever comes, it will come. But you just want to allow those feelings, like you just knew like everything was for you. You trusted yourself, you trusted others, and you trusted life. Like you thought life was just here for you. And then something happened. Something happened that blindsided you. You didn't even know it could happen. And it either scared you, startled you, got you to feel like such an immense shame, like there was something really wrong with you. Something that had you feel like something wasn't right. And then just ask yourself, what happened? And then inside of that, you want to ask yourself, what did you make it, whatever happened, what did you make it mean about you?
Right.
I must be what? Right. And you're going to start to form, you're going to start to see the pattern, how like whatever that was, that, oh, wow, for that to have happened, I must be what? So like, for an example, I just got off a call with someone, and hers was, and it doesn't have to be so traumatic. And I mean that because it can be, you can just have a parent who's extremely moody. Like for the gentleman I was just telling you about, his was when he was 5 years old. He remembers being at the dinner table, or I think he said he was 4 or 5, so maybe 4. And then what he said was he was at the dinner table, and he remembers his dad becoming really upset, super angry. He had never seen that before. And his dad took his own plate and slammed it on the table, and it broke. And it scared him so much. It shocked him, like that he didn't know someone he loved so much could become that angry. Right. And he made the decision in that moment that I must be perfect. Right? I have to always appear smart and competent. So he became like everything, like he was, how it would paralyze him is he would take an action anytime he was afraid he was going to get something wrong or make a fool of himself.
Yeah. And that's so hard. And it limits, and we all have these limitations and stories and missed meanings, but it's so hard to live with trying to be perfect.
Totally. Because you can't be perfect, right? Like, can we ever really be perfect? It's like a self-sabotaging, because perfection doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist, that's just not a saying. I mean it like this. It doesn't exist because as soon as you do something, just by the natural way that life works, where when you solve a problem, like once you do that, you have a problem, a new solution will come to you. And then once you have that new solution, like another new problem will open up, and then another new solution. So you can really never get it done because life is always ever expanding and evolving. So the reason why I say you can never get it perfect is because you can never get it done.
Right.
So there's always a way to improve. Self-mastery has no finish line. Mm-hmm. So as soon as we think that there's a place to go get to, we're in trouble because there's always going to be a new place. For me, what has me, somebody asked me once, well, then how do you ever live in a place of happiness? And I said, because to me, the perfect place is when I'm appreciating everything in the here and now as I'm eagerly anticipating what's coming next.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that's such an amazing space